We now welcome Kevin Harvick, driver of the number 29 Rheem Chevrolet. Kevin, back in California, just talk a little bit about this point in the season and being back here at Sonoma.
Yeah, obviously we're excited to come to Sonoma and run our first road race. You know, I enjoy the road racing, and it gives you a chance to come home for me and you know, see some friends and family and be able to spend at least a couple days with them. So it's nice to be back.
Okay, we'll open up for questions for Kevin. Please state your name and affiliation. Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start in the back with Jeff.
Jeff Clark from SBNation.com. The way the road course races have been lately, it just seems like the action and the controversy and stuff that used to be associated with short tracks seems to be here now, and short tracks have almost gotten like tamer in some ways. Do you see that at all? And if so, why does that happen at road courses?
Well, I think I would definitely agree with you. I think this is probably our roughest race that we go to throughout the year now, and has been for the last few years. You know, I think a lot of that comes from the double file restarts, and you know, I think it escalates as the day goes on, and I think everybody's become a lot better at road racing. So when you get those opportunities to pass, you have to dive in there and you know, take that opportunity, and sometimes you make a mistake and get into a guy, or you know, get into his door, or whatever the case may be. So you have to try to capitalize on opportunities, and everybody's pretty aggressive, and all that comes in a braking zone. So if you get behind and you know you have a pretty good car, you have to, you know, push the issue, and that gets everybody amped up.
Okay, we'll take our next question right here from Bob.
Bob Hawker, Sporting News. Do you have a backup driver this week in case you were to have to go home? And kind of what is?
We have some plans.
Is Mayhew, is that?
You know, David went and practiced the car during the week this week, but he's running another car this week. So if we have an issue, we'll address it when we get to that point with him.
I mean, so will you end up having one each week until the break, or?
We don't plan to right now.
Okay, go ahead with your question.
Just a long ways from home right now, so we had to make an alternative plan.
Go ahead with your question, Shannon.
That's the rest of your life, Kevin.
Yeah.
You know that, right? Shannon Spake, ESPN. Obviously, a lot of talk leading up to Junior's win last weekend about him breaking through, about him ending the streak. From your perspective, how do you think him doing that has affected this sport?
No, I think it was, you know, good for us to see him in victory lane and be able to for him to get out of that media category of talking about losing more than people that are winning is good. And I think for him to get that pressure off of himself, and obviously there's enough pressure on him to just go around the racetrack, and but to be able to get back in victory lane with the way that they've run all year is fun to see, and obviously you know, everybody wanted to see him win, but I think Steve has been really good for him to. There's probably not a better motivator in the garage, and I think that's been a big part of what's kept that deal so competitive. So you can see that from the outside.
Okay, well, you got to follow up.
Well, I think when you just look at them from the outside in, I mean, I don't think it's any different than it was last year. I just think, you know, it takes time to build things exactly where you want them. You know, even though that chemistry's there, you still have to, you know, the small details of situations of the race team have to be worked on a weekly basis, and it continues to build. So they've had some time to build that.
Okay, we'll take our next question, Ollie, in the back from Claire, then come back up to David.
Claire V. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Kevin, can you talk about passing and blocking and restarts and how it all fits together here? Everybody's looking forward to how tough it is, you know, to get around this racetrack. That's what makes it exciting.
Yeah, you know, all that comes into play. I mean, obviously passing is you know, there's a couple spots where you know you need to be, and as the driver on defense, you know that going into that zone. So if you feel like you made a mistake coming into that passing zone, you tend to block, and the guy behind you is planning on passing, and that's usually where there's a conflict of interest going into the next corner. So, but you know, the restarts, the double file restarts are, you know, that took it to a whole new level when we started that, and especially here because it's so narrow, and you know, most of the corners, you know, you want to be in one particular spot, and that forces you to have to push and shove your way back into line.
Next question we'll take from David, then go to Jenna.
David Carville, NASCAR.com. Kevin, some guys are good at road courses, some guys aren't, and it's not like everybody who's good on road courses came up road racing. Does some of that go back to the kind of cars you came up on and the kind of car control you developed? Is there any rhyme or reason to who's good at this and who isn't?
Well, there's not near as many people that aren't good at it anymore. Everybody puts a lot of effort into the road race stuff because it still pays the same amount of points that you get every other week, and especially during this time of year, you don't want to be the guy that's not very good at it and give away 100 points or 20 points on a particular weekend when you come here. So I think you have to go test, and the team has to put effort into the cars, and there's not too many guys. Even the guys that aren't good at it are good at it now. They may not be great, but they're competitive and can put themselves in position to have good finishes. So I think a lot of it is just the approach has changed a lot over the years, even since I've been in the sport, as to who the good guys are and the guys that are not so good. There's no real background difference. Obviously Marcos has a road racing background and shines at these particular events, but I think everybody who's in the series is pretty competitive now.
Okay, next question from Jenna.
Excuse me, Jennifer, IRAP. Did you get a chance to hear or look at the bulletin that went out this week about the side skirts? Okay, so
that wasn't all that was in the bulletin.
I know. So the side skirts.
That's the least significant part about the bulletin.
Is the sway bars the most significant part?
I would say so.
Why?
I think that there's obviously some people that have been running and with the bars that won the race last week and have been, the Hendrick cars have obviously been fast, and I think everybody has caught on to what they were doing with the bars and the trailing arms and the bushings, and everybody was getting ready to venture down that road and spend a lot of time, but there's some significant speed in that particular package. So I think that, to me, that was the biggest part of the rule change. Obviously the side skirts thing is really just a balance shift in where the downforce is. There's a little bit less, you're talking 80 or 90 pounds of downforce. So, to me, that was the biggest part.
Had you guys just started with the sway bars yet?
We had. Last week was our first week.
Now the other thing, the side skirts, the design is to maybe improve Kentucky next week. Do you have any ideas on how to get the side-by-side racing and passing better?
You need to have somebody that can't figure it out. In F1 they had to basically create passing zones with different tires and the wings opening and things like that. I think you're going to have to get more drastic than some side skirts and things like that. It's just the cars are very dependent upon the aerodynamics to just go around the corner, and you put them right on the edge, and as soon as you drop the green flag, you have turbulent air around every car that's not leading. So I don't believe it'll be that simple. Maybe it is. I hope it is, but I don't think anybody knows the 100% right answer.